So, from your view, did Dumsor end?
Yes, load shedding ended.
When?
You see, and that 17th December, we never had a timetable again. You see, I'd always made a certain distinction. Load shedding and a localized outage. A localized outage can occur when, for example, the transformer serving your area gets blown or is overloaded and therefore it shuts down. So you will not have light in that area until it's reconnected or the corrective measures are taken. That is not load shedding. Load shedding arises when there is under generation, when demand exceeds supply, and therefore you have to ration power. That is load shedding. And that is why I've consistently been very careful. As for the localized outages, they will happen until we invest enough. Because if a transformer is overloaded and it gives way or it shuts down, with technology, it is possible to immediately reroute the load to another transformer. But that requires spare transformer capacity. That requires a certain level of technical sophistication that will come about through investment. So there is that. But in terms of shedding load, in terms of outages because we don't have enough generating capacity, it didn't happen. And as I say, the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating. The new government taking over from us accused us of having excess capacity. It means we had more than adequate generational capacity. And so that was not an issue again. And that was why His Excellency the Vice President said, look, why should they pat us on our back if we do what we're expected to do? And so we should not be patted because we have resolved load shedding. So there's a recognition that load shedding ended there. But what I also caution is that demand is not static. It's a very dynamic. What is adequate this year will not be adequate next year because of the inherent 8 to 12% annual growth a year. If you do not plan for that, if you don't project for that, if you don't provide that, what was adequate yesterday will not be adequate tomorrow.
Okay. Yes.
So, thank you. Good morning to your good selves and the constituents of Kwadaso constituency, who I'm persuaded are going to vote convincingly and overwhelmingly for the incoming President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Randy, Honorable Kwabena Donkor, I mean, he's a gentleman. He's one of those MPs who is so down to earth. And I see in him that sense of patriotism. He eschews extreme partisanship. I mean, I can say that is one of those who are referred to in politics as daft. And I like him and his demeanor. But this resignation over Dumsor in 2015, in fact, he was emphatic that if Dumsor didn't end, he was going to resign, and that was done. However, I remember in an interview he granted, I think to Peace FM or one of the media houses, he was asked whether he resigned because of his promise that if Dumsor didn't end, he was going to quit. He said that that was not the case, but internal party politics. But he didn't go further to expatiate on that. I even also respect him on that angle, that he didn't want to wash maybe some dirty linens in his party in the public. Okay, so I mean, he resigned. That was cool. But the subsequent interview where he said that it was not because of Dumsor, but because of internal party politics. I mean, so I will leave it. But Dumsor, the Dumsor end in 2016. I mean, he said yes, but I have a contrary opinion to that. Of course, I remember that in 2015, during the State of the Nation address, the then President Mahama had indicated
15 or 16.
I think either 15, I think 15 or so, at State of the Nation address, Mahama had said that Dumsor had ended. And I remember Bawumia replied and said that if Dumsor had ended, you created it. Subsequently, we started experiencing that same erratic power supply. When in September or October 2016, before the elections, President Mahama at that time said that if we voted for him, he was going to make sure that Dumsor ended. I have it. I can show it to you. The publication on Ghana Web. Then what is even telling is what Ofosu Ampofo said. I think in March 2017, that if Mahama had won, Mahama would have ended Dumsor. So it beats my mind that they are saying that they were able to terminate Dumsor. Please permit me to read a portion of what, for example, said, I think 27th of March 2017, Mahama would have ended Dumsor if NDC was retained. It's here. So that's why I'm saying that Dumsor was not
Headline, so we can't rely on that. You know?
Randy,
no, you know that,
my good friend. Okay, so maybe I'll find time and give you the meat,
right?
The meat of it. But the point I'm making is that Dumsor was not ended in 2016. I mean, he operates within that area. I respect him so much. But I have a contrary position on that, based on what John Mahama had said about 2 months into the election, that if you voted for him, he was going to end Dumsor.
Are you saying that James said this in 2016?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, James said that in 2016 that if he wins the election, Dumsor was going to end.
Really?
Yeah. I'll find time and give it to you. Okay. So I want to put on record that with respect to my senior, Dumsor never ended in 2016.
Okay.
You see, Doc.
Yes.
At least we are intellectuals. The three of us sitting here. Incidentally, everyone has a PhD. It is important that you don't take headlines, especially headlines from sources opposed to your tradition. If we are to take Daily Guide headlines, somebody will say nothing good ever happened on NDC. The real situation is that, and I say we're intellectuals because there is a certain logic. In 2017, the Ministry of Energy and the government accused the NDC of creating excess capacity of power. How do you create excess capacity? On one hand, accuse the NDC of creating excess capacity, and the other hand saying there was load shedding. And that was why I began by defining load shedding. Load shedding arises out of inadequate generating capacity. And because you have inadequate generating capacity, you ration power. That is load shedding. So another government comes to power, accuses you in early 2017 that you created excess capacity, and that has become a burden on the national purse. You generated, or you created a generation of too much power. So that has become a burden on the national purse. And the same party turns around to say you did not have enough generating capacity. That is a contradiction.
No, but we're talking about two different things in here. You can have excess capacity, but if you don't have the financial wherewithal, you wouldn't be able to convert them into energy for consumption.
Listen.
They are different.
Listen. Remember, under President Mahama, we had domestic gas coming on stream. Under President Mahama, we had the infrastructure for ENI to come on stream in 2017. We had the fuel. To the extent that we had increased our export of power and also made provision. Gridco had established the 330 because that was our major trust. Remember, from 2009, when the NDC won, one of our focus was to make Ghana a major power exporting country. We are already a net exporter, but we said a major exporting country. And therefore, the governments of Atta Mills and Mahama, that 8-year period, we were very instrumental in the West African power pool arrangement. You see, one of the things we have not done and done well is that we've not taken sufficient advantage of our geography.
See, please, if you indulge me, you asked me a question.
Yes.
Just 1 second about. You said I quote a headline. In the body of that article was an interview he granted to Kwame Sefakan, Chairman General.
Who granted?
Fusuan.
Okay.
So he told host Kwame Sefakan on PCFM's Kokroko that, quote, in our energy sector policy, it was expected that by the end of, into bracket, if we had won power, the 4-year period, Ghana would have been completely self-sufficient in energy, that we would have even become a net exporter of energy to other neighboring countries.
Yes.
No, he said.
So
No,
he
he
didn't
said.
say that they would have solved Dumsor if he had won.
Oh,
You
Randy,
see,
Randy,
again,
you didn't
you
hear me.
No, Prof, please read read the quote again.
Let me read
Okay,
it.
please do. Okay.
He said, in our energy sector policy, it was expected that by the end of, if we had won power, the 4-year period, Ghana would have been completely self-sufficient in energy, that we could have even become a net exporter of energy to other neighboring countries. I can say that to all intents and purposes, before the government, Mahama government left, as for generation capacity, we could generate enough to meet the demands of the country. As at the time that we were leaving office, we were not experiencing Dumsor. Under NDC, we did a lot of investment in that generation. So they themselves realized that Dumsor was not fixed under their regime. That was why Mahama said.
But that's not what you read.
That's not what you read.
What you read is
That's not what you read.
It's exactly opposite what you are saying.
How?
Because what you are relying on, what you just read, the man said they fixed Dumsor.
No, Mr. Fusampafu noted that Dumsor was expected to come to an end by the second term of the Mahama government.
No, you read
That's
the,
it.
you
No,
read the
no.
direct quotes.
No, but
No, please.
wait, no.
You read the direct quotes.
Yes,
If you
yes,
can
no,
read it
no.
again.
You know,
Yeah.
when you are doing interviews, they're in phases. So he said, according to him, the previous government made several interventions to improve the energy sector before exiting office. And he has said that. Mr. Ampafu noted that Dumsor into bracket was expected to come to an end by the second term of the Mahama government.
Yeah, but this is not a direct quote.
Yes.
You read what he actually said, the quote.
No,
what he said.
What he said
Yes.
was that in a 4-year time frame, they would have been able to have sufficiency in terms of the energy generation.
No.
No.
That's
Really,
not what
no.
that's not what you read to us.
No, what I read to you, the second leg was that in that time frame, the next 4 years, they have plans to ensure sufficiency in power generation, or he said. But before that, he had admitted that they couldn't resolve the matter. That was why Mahama himself said that if he had won power again, he would have been able to deal with the Dumsor issue.
What you read attributable directly to him in quotes does not convey the latter position. But let's even put it down. With all due respect to Ofosu Ampafu, he's not an energy person. With all due respect.
But I didn't even say anything.
Yes.
Anything wrong.
And I'm even
Oh,
just
really?
saying.
Okay.
No, I'm saying that the direct quotes, what
You
you
see,
read, the direct quotes attributable
But
to
the
him.
initial one,
You
They
see,
didn't- that- it wasn't a quote.
it wasn't a quote.
but
It's
it
a
was
reporter.
emphatic.
No, it wasn't a quote. That's the reporter saying it. You see, that's why I asked for. That's why you yourself you decided to go for the relevant quotes, which is what the man said, and you read it to us. You read it twice.
No, but you know that in articles, it's not all that reporters use direct quotations. It's not all.
No, but I'm saying that if we have the man's direct quotation, why do we want to rely on something else in the same story?
Oh, but if that is relevant, don't we talk about that?
You see,
Because I want to talk about that.
You see, again, for somebody to say Ghana will become a net exporter, it is neither here nor there. Ghana has been a net exporter of power since the late 70s.
So you disagree with him?
Listen. That's why I'm saying that with due respect, he's not an energy person. Okay. Between myself and my junior brother, Ofosu Ampafu, he would defer to me when it comes to energy. Ghana has been a net exporter of power since the 1970s, when we started exporting to Togo, Benin. So that is why that is not our thrust. Our thrust is to become a major exporter of power. That is the nuance. And I was saying that we have not taken advantage of our geography economically. Do you know that Ghana is the nearest landmass to the center of the world? We have longitude 0 degree and latitude 0 degree intersected in our territorial waters. So we are the nearest landmass to the geographical center of the world. Put that aside. And that is why, in terms of trade, we are near enough to Europe, we are near enough to the Far East and other places. That is. But in West Africa, we sit right in the middle of the West African sub-region. And that is where the West African power pool arrangement, Ghana was very key in that during the governments of Professor Tamils and John Dramani Mahama. Because we are in a better position to export power to the east, to the west, and to the north. And that is why I say we still have not taken sufficient advantage